website right now and download my free course on alternate picking mastery. It contains 5 essential exercises that will take you to alternate picking mastery faster than you can imagine. And then I've included my method of how to lay out a practice plan in just 1 to 2 minutes that will absolutely boost your results like nothing you ever tried before. So go download it right now. It's free. Cool track. I wanted to talk about looping because that's such an essential way of learning licks in the most effective way. There's no right and wrong way here. And if you watch my YouTube videos, you know that I'm not a big fan of learning licks in order for you to be able to play solos and improvise. Because if you do so, then you basically just have little strings of a solo, of other people's solos. And then you take those little strings and you try to put them together into something that sounds like you. That doesn't make sense, right? And it's basically the same thing as trying to write a book by borrowing sentences from other people's stories, right? You take whole sentences, whole licks, whole strings of notes, and then you try to put them together into a unique story that sounds like you. I can assure you that if you picked from Harry Potter and whatever, then we're going to, I think I heard that before, right? So I'm really into sequences, little mathematical combinations of notes that you repeat back and forth between the scales, and then you combine these little building blocks, which is basically the equivalent of words when it comes to, talking. And that allows you to build your lines on a much smaller level, much more detailed level, and really build your own voice. But when you are learning licks are an amazing resource when it comes to learning how to combine everything you learn, because you learn vibrato, sliding, bending, you learn all kinds of techniques like alternate picking, sweep picking, legato, hammer-ons and pull-offs, and on scales and arpeggios. How do you combine all that? And the most effective way of going about learning that is to look into what other people do. But when you look into licks in that way, then you're looking at arpeggios. You're trying to understand what he does, rather than just learn the actual note he plays, right? Notes he plays. I hope that makes sense. So you look into the line, and I used to use an old tape recorder to slow down things so I could read, what arpeggio is that? Why is he using that? And then in that process, I also learned theory because I tried to understand mentally, conceptually what was going on. But the one of the things I stumbled into by accident was looping when you learn a lick. Because you can learn like whole sections of a solo, right? And that's fine and good. But if you loop every little part of the solo and create a little loop that you can play over and over again, you build, just imagine a whole run right? A whole run like that. That's an amazing amount of notes, right? You learn it from one end to another. But if you learn to loop it down here and loop it in the middle and loop it, go back and forth like that, then you can basically whatever, right? But what I'm basically doing is like, if you have a little video clip and you can go back and forth with your marker like that, so you go back a little here and then forward and then a little bit back, and then it's the same lick basically, but you're just going back and forth like that. So you decide how much time you want to spend on those notes down the fretboard, and you decide whether you want to go back, and you can also change the tempo, so you play it, You can use it as a run or a line, because now you really master it. You can go back and forth in little pieces, right? And so, secondly, once you start then to take these little pieces and then you practice ending and beginning them. So let's say the whole run starts with a little, and then it goes down, right? So this little thing here, then you might want to, you can stop there and go back up. And the way I'm looping, I'm just, playing the notes and then just returning to start by just playing up the scale. So if I want to loop like, right, and then I just walk up the scale until I get to my starting point again. And it doesn't matter how many notes I end up with. I don't care about that. I just want that loop. And I might go down another note, like, if I want to create a loop from this one, I just go back up, right? So I go. And suddenly I can go, right? I could introduce a hammer-on and a pull-off as well. Now I'm beginning to play with what I just learned from this guy, which played this lick. I could go hammer-on and pull-off right there. So. Right? And suddenly I have something I can play with. And then the next step, as I said, is to end it. So I go. For instance, right? And then I practice ending it. This was a whole new world for me when I started doing that, because I could do a lot of stuff, right? I could do a lot of loops, a lot of runs, but I couldn't end any of it. Or a lot of licks. I might go. Oh. Right? Any note. So, and then I had this little loop. Now I go even further within the lick, and I learn the next thing. Right? And I try to combine that. And you might come up with some 7-note patterns, 19 notes, whatever, but it doesn't matter. Right? And then you loop it again, and then you practice ending it. Looping just there. Even with just a little line like this, I try to stop and then go back, then go even further, then go back, then just loop the first 3 notes, and then, looping all the time, or go to the middle and loop here. And if you focus on this enough, you'll get an enormous amount of value out of each lick you learn. And then I practice ending it. Right? And so I loop and loop and loop and loop and feel my way through the whole lick like that. And then you have you have so much learning and so much new stuff you can do. And you never run out of licks, because you're not forced to play parts of it or just, the whole lick and then try to come up with something new, remember something new, because you can spend an entire solo with that one little thing there. Let me just demo that to you. I'm just going to play something very simple, and then I'm just going to do fast what I used to do slow. That's the whole process. You just need some more time. You can't have that jam track in the background right away. You have to loop and loop and loop, and then gradually you can loop and loop and loop as you're playing the solo. And that's the simple way of getting to that point where every lick becomes a new adventure, something you can spend, just play for weeks, because you keep getting new stuff out of it. Loop it, and then practice ending each and every place in each and every loop within the lick. I have a new program coming out now, which deals with this, which gives you 20 massive strings of notes, and then we go into each loop, and we use simple techniques. So we don't have a lot of stretching, we don't have a lot of advanced techniques, but it's really, really effective. And each lick can, can become 100 solos. So you might want to look into that. Click the link below the video if you feel like it, and watch the trailer. And then I'll see you in the next free video. Subscribe for more free videos. Do it. Do it now. Do it.